Hi there, it's Cliff, and welcome to my Facebook. Can you imagine? I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm so non-technical that, as you know, I've got friends helping me do this, but I do get a chance to do things myself. I just wanted to start off by saying my friends and I had the most fantastic Solstice tour, and for those of you who came, we can never thank you enough. In fact, I still get phone calls from Frida and Lamont and all the others saying that was one of the best times they've ever had, so thank you for that. Now, I've been given a whole bunch of questions that 10 questions that maybe I should answer personally, and I'm very happy to do that. I don't get often a chance to speak with you all, but this is the best I can do. By the way, I'm in Barbados. I am in a rocker. I don't need the rocker. It just happens to be here, and the lighting's really good at this point, so here goes. Okay, now this first question is from Chris Shaw. He says, would you ever do a concert where the fans choose the set list from an internet poll? Well, I mean, I find that really fascinating because I know that the internet's kind of taken over our lives anyway. It's getting harder and harder to know what to record, when to record it. And certainly when it comes to concerts, I tend to try and give as much of the new stuff as possible without disregarding the old. But I think it would be very, very tempting for me to say, yes, Chris. For me, it would be quite interesting to do a concert that, in fact, fans chose. Yes, I'd say yes to that. I got one here from Sue Williams. Now Sue says, if you could have a dinner party with 4 other guests, living or dead, who would you choose and why? I would choose Maggie Thatcher. I'll go them one at a time. Maggie Thatcher, because of all the politicians that in my lifetime I remember, there have only been 2 that seem to be incredibly strong leaders, regardless of what your persuasion is, whether it's Labour or Tory or whatever. You can still find strength in other parties, for instance. Me, I just thought that Churchill was incredibly strong, and when we needed him, there he was during the war. He led us to victory and to the lifestyle that we have now. So that's why it but I'm not going to have him at dinner because he talks too good. Maggie Thatcher is also somebody that I'd like because, again, Maggie, unlike we never expected a woman, I didn't expect that a woman for many, many years would become Prime Minister, and I guess either she didn't. If you've seen the film with Meryl Streep, it's pretty obvious that she was strong-minded from the word go, but even she had that doubt whether a woman could be Prime Minister. But she was, and I felt that, again, what sometimes we lack is how to deal with leaders. If you have a leader, you've got to listen to them, and it's one of those things. You may not even like what they say sometimes, but I found her strong, persuasive, and when I met her, she could have been my mum. She did things that were very mumsy sometimes, although you never read that in the press, did you? I didn't. I had to see it for myself. So I would invite Maggie Thatcher. I would definitely invite Billy Graham. I've had great respect for that man for a long, long time. Ever since I first became a Christian, and he asked me to speak at one of his meetings, I really felt, that he was somebody who had integrity. And I've met him over the years quite a few times, and it is so obvious that his whole life is steeped in his faith. If any of you have any doubts as to whether he really believes what he believes, let me tell you now, I'm convinced that he really believed everything he said and wanted only to do the best for other people and hopefully spread the news so that more people would have the choice to become not necessarily an evangelist, but certainly become a Christian and have some form of life that has spirituality and depth to it. So I always loved and admired him. Now, Maggie's not dead, but Billy Graham's not dead. And you've said that I could choose people who are alive or dead. I would definitely choose Elvis. You all know the reason why. I made a mistake some time back by saying, no, I don't want to meet Elvis just yet because Elvis was overweight. And then blow me down, within a year he had died and I could kick myself. So if you get a chance to meet someone, don't mess around, don't make excuses and say, I'd rather be seen with Cliff when he was fat. Because I might get fat again and you'll miss the chance. But I missed the chance, so I would love to have him for dinner too. And maybe I would just add Churchill. Why not? He was a real great speaker. So that would be my 4 people. There's another one here, Rachel Bartell. Or is it Bartels? I think maybe it's Rachel Bartels. You've performed in so many concerts. What has been your most memorable performance ever and why? Oh, You know, there's talk about me going to Vegas, and somebody said, what would you do? And I said, I'd like to pin together all the best of all the shows I ever did. I think the first really fantastic show I felt I ever did was my 25th anniversary one. Only because we spent a lot more money on production, and as some of you will remember, there were lasers and everything, you know, so I'd like to take a bit of everything. That was a memorable show for me. I've got a feeling, though, I'd have to say that the best show for me that I did was the one that was at Wembley. It was the toughest one, and again, the most expensive one that I've ever put on. I don't know, I think we spent about, I don't know, £2 or £3 million just to do 2 nights. And of course, as you know, the Shadows were there, Aswad were there, Jerry and the Pacemakers they were there, the Searchers, myself. I got to get the whole Oh Boy show, and we opened the whole thing that night, and there were 72,000 of you each night. Thank you. So for me, that would be the most memorable show. And of course, the show lasted 5 hours, and I pretty well sang all the way through it because they couldn't get me off. I wanted to be on the Oh Boy. How could I not sing with the Shadows? How could I not jump in on the Searchers? I mean, I just dabbled in everything. And of course, that final time when I got a chance to sing with Jet Harris and Tony Meehan, both sadly have died on us now, but at least I'll have all sorts of memories for that. So that would be the most memorable one. And I'd like to mention Solicious. I've never done a show where I've shared the stage with so many people, and it was really fun. Made it a little bit easier for me, of course, but it was just fantastic fun. But if you really want the best one, the one that's meant most to me, it would be the one at Wembley. I've forgotten what it was called. It was called From a Distance. No, was it called From a Distance? We sang From a Distance in the end. The Event was called The Event. Okay. Cliffette Rebecca. Now I don't even know whether Cliffette is a description of who you are, Rebecca. But anyway, it says, Dear Cliff, what was the funniest thing in your eyes a fan made or did for you? What that made you laugh? Well, I think I've mentioned this a few times before. I'm sure I mentioned it in my book. If I didn't, I'll tell you again. And if some of you have heard it, forgive me. I was in Edinburgh with the Shadows, and we were playing at the Edinburgh Usher Hall, which wasn't a big hall. In those days, they didn't have the huge arena, so we were playing as many of the smaller ones as possible. Anyway, this great big box. Now, we were used to getting gifts. You know, you have flowers and the odd bottle of wine or something. But suddenly, this big cardboard box, it was huge and heavy, not just ordinary cardboard. It was like reconstituted wood, really. And it came in, and I said to the Shadows, I've got a TV set. Someone sent me a TV set. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I struggled, I opened the box, and out came this girl, and she said, can I have your autograph, please? Well, first of all, I nearly died, but then I nearly died with laughter. It was very, very funny, and probably one of the most unique ways that I've ever met a fan. So if you're still around that fan, good on you.